The interview may be over, but the conversation is only just beginning.
So grab a cuppa and join us in the lounge as we explore the ideas, stories and moments that really stayed with us and what they might mean for our families, our children and ourselves.
Welcome to Raising Kind Minds.
Because your voice today becomes their voice tomorrow.
Earlier this week, we sat down with educator, author and mindfulness and self-compassion teacher Wendy O'Leary, whose work focuses on helping children and families develop self-compassion from the earliest years of life.
What really stayed with me was her belief that children don't need to wait until adulthood to learn these skills. In fact, the earlier we introduce them, the more naturally they'll become part of who they are.
We explored what self-compassion actually means, how it differs from self-esteem, and why so many children are already incredibly hard on themselves at a very young age.
And perhaps most importantly, we talked about the messages children absorb from the adults around them and how those messages can become the voice they carry within.
So today we're discussing the ideas that really stayed with us from this conversation and what they might look like in real family life.
Hello and welcome to Raising Kind Minds, the conversation. I'm lovely Liz.
And I'm Catherine Lovewell. We are so delighted to be sharing an amazing conversation and reflections on meeting the lovely Wendy O'Leary and all the extraordinary work that she has been doing with the early years cohort, those beautiful, very little children that you may have in your home right now. So it's wonderful to be here. Really appreciate you having this time with me and exploring some of the gems that Wendy shared with us. Now, there's quite a few bits of gold to harvest. I'd like to start with, what shall we start with? Self-compassion versus self-esteem.
That was really interesting, how she teased the difference out.
So for those of you that, like me in the early days of exploring this work, thought, well, self-esteem is really important and I didn't have much when I was a kid, or I didn't have much now. I don't have much now. And I see that my children struggle with it. It's something that schools have definitely focused on for a long time.
It's definitely something you would search on Google.
Yes.
Self-esteem for kids and that sort of thing.
Yes. Now, of course, we want self-esteem for our children. We want our children to feel good about themselves. But the difference between self-compassion and self-esteem is, of course, one is an external measurement and one is an internal resource. So self-esteem relies on the fact, Wendy was really clarifying this for us, that we're relying on external measurements, external achievements, external validation, and we need to hit the mark externally so that we can feel good enough. The difference,
relying on that praise.
Relying on the praise, but there was also something else she said that I thought was really interesting. We become dependent on that achievement, and our happiness and feeling good about ourselves is contingent on those outside influences. And of course, it becomes very competitive.
Yeah.
Now, many parents...
And even competitive, not necessarily, well, absolutely with others, but also competitive with ourselves.
Interesting.
Personal best. What's your PB?
And we're not decrying any of that. I think there's definitely a great place for that. And we're living in a competitive society. Our whole world runs on this notion that we need to outdo our competitors. We have to shine and be the best. We have to absolutely outshine everyone else if we're going to get that place at university or that new job. We appreciate that.
Because we also want to progress, though, don't we?
We
do. We want to move forward. We want to
meet up essential.
I was going to say push ourselves, but not necessarily. But well, we want personal growth.
It's growth. I think you're absolutely right.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. It's about growth. And of course, if we're not growing, we're dying. I know that sounds a bit dramatic, but actually we do live in a duality. If we're not growing, I've been tending to my lovely flowers, if I'm not giving them what they need, that sunshine and the right soil and that lovely fresh water every day, they will die. And it's been extremely hot the last few days, and a few were wilting this morning, and I thought, oh, you need an extra drink. So we want to water the garden of our minds and the gardens of our children's minds. We want to encourage deep roots and that wonderful sense of expansion and growth. And what Wendy was talking about, this is lovely Wendy O'Leary, was, of course, self-compassion creates those roots. It creates an inner resource, an inner strength. We're not relying on someone else giving us a gold star. Don't get me wrong, those gold stars feel good.
I was thinking the same.
I do like. But if we're gold star starved, and some of us just aren't gold star standard compared to others, does it mean we're not worth anything? So it's a very delicate one to explore. But what I loved was that Wendy explored this and helped us understand that high self-compassion is better than anything else. Of course, high self-esteem is fantastic, but we want our children to have that high esteem because they're not afraid of failing. They know that they can respond to difficulty with kindness. They can bounce back after failure. And they don't actually even view it as failure. It's opportunity to grow. They're all self-compassionate responses. It's different, isn't it?
Totally.
And certainly what it's done for me as an adult is helped me recognise, actually, I'm a lot less risk averse now because I was so scared about being told off, so scared about getting it wrong that I would keep myself a little bit guarded.
Yeah. Play it safe. Keep it safe.
Play it safe, keep it safe. And then we're not, I was going to say reaching our potential, but we're not even moving towards our potential.
Yeah. Certainly in my experience, well, let's just take this podcast, for instance. Because of my self-compassion practice, I am more willing to have a go at things, to try things out, to notice that things are not necessarily comfortable, it might be challenging. It's without a doubt embarking on this podcasting journey for me has been so challenging in so many ways and rewarding as well.
But out of your comfort zone.
Well, I'm so out of my comfort zone. I am on the mainland.
Or out in the cosmos.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, Wendy talked about this, didn't she? Because she was talking about how she'd never become an author. So her lovely book, I'm Okay, it's just such a beautiful children's book. I highly recommend you get it. It's got such lovely words inside, beautiful illustrations. And she said, well, without self-compassion, I couldn't have done that. And this is how we move toward difficult challenges. We move towards with love, not fear. She talked a lot about that.
She did, didn't she? Yeah.
Leading our lives with love, leading our parenting life with love. And first and foremost for ourselves, because we will mess up. And we won't like it. And it is painful.
And we'll have to retake.
And repair.
Yeah.
And self-compassion, again, gives us that skill to say sorry, to not brood and, linger with the mistakes that we make. And then I've got the wrong word in my head. What's the word I'm looking for?
Marinate.
No.
Ruminate.
Ruminate. That horrible rumination.
I could ruminate and marinate. Bathe
I
in
think
the
one's a little bit
bathe in it.
more delightful than the other. But if our children come home and they don't have the skill of self-compassion and they have had a tough day, they have maybe not scored well in a test, they are busy comparing themselves, as is our nature, that negativity bias, we're going to lean towards that. We are going to compare ourselves. That's how we find our safety in that primitive brain. Then they'll need that resource to come home and tend to themselves, to look after themselves, and
begin again.
They begin again, and all of these things are self-compassion focused. They're skills from a self-compassionate approach, as opposed to, I just need to do better next time and then my esteem will grow. I just need to try harder. Now, of course, I'm not suggesting we don't give our best and push ourselves to reach our potential and reach those edges, and it's uncomfortable. But if we have self-compassion in our toolkit, in our internal toolkit, then we can approach that with a lot less fear as a parent and a child, because we know we've got our own back. Hey, this might be tricky, and I've got you. That's what Booster would say. Booster, our compassionate friend, if you're new to our channel, this is Booster, our compassionate voice inside our head saying, hey, yes, this might be really difficult, and I'll be right by your side. That's very different from how we cultivate or try and bolster our self-esteem.
And similarly, a Booster can also encourage us to have another go.
Yes.
To get back up.
Yes.
We don't have to nail it on the first go. I mean, there's that walking analogy, is it? It's like you've got this small child who keeps on stumbling. And
the toddler learning to walk.
And I've tried shuffle along, and I've done a little bit of crawling. Tried that standing thing, didn't really work for me. I'm just going to stay on the floor.
I'm staying on my bottom.
Exactly.
It's more comfy down
So
here.
you just have another go.
Yes, I can't remember the exact number, but it's something like...
It's pretty big, isn't
250 attempts before they'll just keep falling over.
Before we have another step.
Step. And of course, as adults, we cheer when they step, 1 step, 2 steps. We go oopsie-daisy when they fall.
It's all right, honey.
And it's okay, honey, of course. Oh, of course you fell down. You're learning to walk, and up you get and begin again. That's a really good analogy.
Great reminder.
A really good reminder. And of course, no adult will judge the child for falling over.
No, well, you'd expect it. You don't expect to try a new activity and nail it the first time.
No,
Whatever
and yet
we're
I think certainly in the Western culture, we're expecting more and more that our children should be able to do lots of things. And I think our education system is that there's no space for revisiting. There's a lot less time to draft something, to revisit it, to give another go. It's like, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing.
And collaborating.
And I remember when I was in Australia, I went to a wonderful PISA conference, Positive Education Conference. And I can't remember the author, I'm afraid, but there was a lady from America who was part of this incredible college. Let's see if I can dig out the name from the recesses of my mind. But her example was this. The children were asked to draw a butterfly, and the age, I can't remember exactly, but it's, again, irrelevant. And everyone's first butterfly was okay. Some were better than others, obviously, but all of them, they're okay. And instead of saying, okay, next week we're going to be drawing a flower, they revisited the butterfly. Now, I can't remember over how long a time span there was, but she showed us on the screen the progression of one student drawing the butterfly again and again and again and again. And you would not believe it's the same child at the same age.
Wow.
By the end of the, 10th iteration. There was quite a few iterations. And it really, really brought it home to us that we're all in such a rush to achieve something, and the expectation is that we should be able to get it pretty good first time round. But actually we know that the more we practice something, the better we'll get. And it is about practicing.
Yeah, dose dependent.
Dose dependent. And I always go back to the kicky uppy. I know we had a football analogy in the in our conversation, but my youngest son, Dominic, loves his football, and when he first learned to do kicky uppies, when you just kick the ball up and then kick it on your foot again and it goes up and up and he was absolutely determined that he wanted to develop this skill. And there was lots of frustration. He's only little. Lots of frustration that he couldn't do more than one or two. But every day after school, he'd be in the back garden, kicky uppy, and I'd keep saying, look at you go. That was 3 that time. Well done. Let's go again. I wonder how many you can do tomorrow. And now, of course, he's a football coach and he can do a lot, let me tell you. But that's hundreds and hundreds of hours of practice.
It's like shooting hoops. Similarly, you can just shoot and shoot and shoot, and some will go in, some won't, and then some more will go in.
Didn't Michael Jordan get interviewed and said statistically how
phenomenal,
many he missed
compared
to how many he actually got, and the odds of him missing were still higher than actually getting the hoop in, but it's only that he had more practice than his possibility of getting a hoop was higher. There's so
how many times can you say hoop? I'm feeling like hula hooping now.
So rounding ourselves back to self-compassion and self-esteem, if we don't get the hoop, I'm saying it again.
Yeah.
If we don't get the hoop in with the self-esteem lens on, if we're looking through the self-esteem lens, we're going to feel rubbish about ourselves. I missed the hoop every time in practice today. Can't believe it. But did you actually throw? Did you practice? Were you getting closer? No, I was rubbish. That's self-esteem measurement, isn't it? Self-compassion says...
How often do we quit, though?
Yes. But self-compassion says, but with practice, this will improve. And also, there's also a validation around, yes, this really hurts. And back to Wendy's lovely phrase, of course this hurts, honey. Of course this hurts, honey. It's very disappointing, especially in front of your peers. And the self-compassionate lens soothes the disappointment, soothes the, I really wanted to prove that I'm getting better, but also gives us that strength of, okay, I'll go to practice tomorrow.
Yeah, have another go.
Fresh start, and I will get better. So we're leading with love, not fear that, oh my gosh, I'm going to look a nincompoop in class, at basketball class again. It's a very different way of, I always say, self-compassion holds things so differently with kindness.
Oh, that's a great picture, like a cradle.
Yes.
Container. Yeah, nice.
Exactly. Right, I think we've really explored the self-esteem and self-compassion.
I think it's really
angles.
Good to discuss it, though, because I certainly know that when my son was preschooler, we did have Google then, did we? Possibly. Well, certainly when he was at primary school, we had Google. And I would have definitely Googled self-esteem for kids, or I'd be aware of it, looking, because I wanted my son to have the best start, but
Of course.
to have a most advantageous experience of life to make things easier for him.
And we know that we're going to give things a go if we feel good about ourselves.
Yeah.
We're going to go and say hello to play with someone in the playground if we feel strong and confident in ourselves. We're going to, give that hard writing test a go. We're going to approach our life with so much more joy, actually, but inner strength if we have self-compassion guiding the way.
Yeah.
And we, of course, want our children to feel good about themselves. And as Wendy was explaining, it's a much better resource to have than an external dependence.
Yeah.
Yes, really good.
Well,
Really
it's
good.
back to your seed analogy.
Yes.
These strong roots, which
Yes.
can be learnt at a really, really young age. You don't have to wait until you're an adult or a dinosaur like Catherine and I were when we learnt self-compassion.
Who are you calling a dinosaur? Rude.
But that children can learn it really, really young.
Yes.
What if I had grown up with that inner strength? It would be much kinder inner world I would have.
Yes. And of course, Wendy's book with Louise Shanahan is called Growing Self-Compassionate Kids. And they use the analogy, which I've always loved. We've always used it in our programs in Compassionate Body, that lovely, let's really nurture and nourish those seeds. We want to plant the seeds as young as we can so that I believe in this self-empowerment business, so that when you as mum or dad or teacher, auntie, uncle, grandparent aren't in the room, they can carry on. They can pick themselves up. They can say, oh, owie, oh dear, and carry on with their day without
Speak kindly to themselves.
Without it being a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So that inner resourcing is really important. I really loved that she talked about that. What else? What other gems would you like to discuss?
Well, I know Wendy spoke about modelling self-compassionate practice or modelling how we speak to ourselves, this self-talk, especially when things are challenging for ourselves, like if we're having upset or...
No, parents don't ever get upset. I don't know what you mean.
Seems good here. So she didn't... I thought it was interesting because it's not necessarily about denying that it's happening, but it's actually about sharing what's happening with the child. So you can model how you are then reacting and responding to the situation. A bit like in the Booster Blueprint, it's like you've got a situation and how are you responding? Is it with love or is it with fear? And again, it's about nurturing those seeds. So you're out there in the garden watering those plants, flowers
of the mind.
And you are noticing that actually some of them may need a little bit more water. And so you're also noticing with our children that when we are present with them, we can notice what's arising for them and what they might need in the moment too.
Yes.
So they might need a little bit more watering, however that's showing up. And other times they need less.
And I think from a nervous system point of view, Wendy really clarified, if our nervous system as the caring adult is calm, centered, if you're grounded.
Yeah, hand on heart, maybe. She talked about that as well.
If we have tended to ourselves because we are stressed and we will be stressed and we're late for school again, but if we can tend to ourselves and have these resources, these skills to look after ourselves, then scientifically it's been proven that, of course, those mirror neurons, they are going to impact the child, that that their nervous system is more likely to stay regulated because you are regulated. And I think that's
the resonance,
really, really important for parents to recognize actually your state, what state you're in. We used to do a program, didn't we?
Oh, we did, didn't we?
Getting in the right state for teaching, not getting in a right state, which a lot of us teachers could be in, a lot of our students were in.
Well, we had the student one, didn't we? What was that? Getting in the right state for exams.
Yes.
Gosh, that was a long time ago.
Yes, happy days. And still as relevant today as it was then.
100%.
So, tending to ourselves, making sure that we are giving ourselves all the things that we possibly can in the moment, and we appreciate in the moment can be difficult sometimes. But the more we practice, again, back to the kicky uppy, the more likely we are to return to ourselves more easily. And then that self-regulated self is going to respond in a healthier way to your children. And that's the thing. And then their nervous system is going to feel safe. And so the cycle goes in a positive spiral rather than a negative one. Really important. And I also loved that, she described this, it's not just prevention. So in early years, she's working with the real little ones, or working with staff looking after little ones. She said this isn't just prevention, this is early intervention. And I loved that. So we've got both going on. And that's why it's very early days, but it is a very new thing to introduce self-compassion as young as you possibly can. And if the parents have never come across this before, like we didn't, it will really help them, I think, communicate, relate to themselves and their children with a lot more ease because they're being kind to themselves first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
really
even
good.
having things like compassionate catchphrases. So we use those a lot in my inner detective journal. Got compassionate catchphrases on, the other side of every page, because it's good to remember and to build your own little self-compassion kit. Because in the moment of struggle, sometimes it's really tricky, isn't it, to remember. If you've had a upset, then you're not usually thinking as clearly as you like. So therefore, I have found it really useful to have these go-to phrases. And if we can get into that groove of, there are so many phrases that we can easily say, and maybe you've experienced as well. And your child comes home from school and they've got the word of the week, that everything is this or that. When I was a child growing up in New Zealand, it was choice. Everything was choice.
Oh, I like that.
Which means it's really good. And so we couldn't almost say anything else without everything was choice. And you could create your own family catchphrase, couldn't you? What works for you? So that, or you could all have one, try it for a week, and then the following week have something else. It could be really fun, actually.
Yes, I like that. And then you're less likely to be, as she described, a helicopter parent or a snowplow parent, which I'd never heard of. Let me just clear the path so there's never any challenge or obstacle for my children. We can feel the absolute
because we
love and
want
best
to alleviate
intention.
and avoid the suffering.
But of course, our amazing children can clamber over rocky terrain. And in fact, they might find it quite an adventure.
Invigorating.
And such an achievement when they get to the top of that boulder.
Yes.
So it's really interesting if we can reframe it, that actually these obstacles, these things that looks like suffering, that looks like it's really difficult, probably is, that it will actually help their roots get stronger inside and their branches will grow stronger because they've experienced these little challenges along the way.
Well, it's like that butterfly, isn't it? Breaking out of the chrysalis. It's needed in order to be strong enough to be ready to be drawn.
Yes.
Over 10 iterations.
Yes. So one of the things that we are just finished with this was looking at how self-compassion provides more capacity around the difficulties we just mentioned. It gives a child capacity and a parent to do more of the things that feel scary. Like here you are.
Here I am.
Thanks to your self-compassion practice.
And giving Krisha a hug.
Yeah, so we can soothe the fears that may come up quite naturally. Of course it's scary. You've never done this before.
Yeah.
So when life doesn't go so well, when life is challenging, when life serves you a curveball or two, and little things that are really big things. I remember, when Ollie's goldfish died. It's a really, really big thing in our child's life. Or even, you've grown out of I remember a friend growing out of their favourite T-shirt and they were just devastated.
I grow out of my favourite swimming togs. I love them.
And to, that sweet, young, innocent mind, we need to help them have the capacity to handle change because everything is changing.
Everything is changing
all the time. And I loved that Wendy talked about capacity. It really does develop our capacity for change, for challenge, for the inevitable knocks we're going to experience as children and as adults. And gosh, we need capacity, don't we? Yeah, beautiful. I suppose I'd like to end with that curiosity that Wendy talked about. Leave you with a little go away and practice opportunity, and hold on to this phrase or practice with this phrase of, I wonder what you might need now. I wonder, would you like a hug? I wonder, would you like to go for a little walk? I wonder what you might need at the moment, so that we as parents don't project on what we think they might need, and give the child that opportunity to develop their capacity to explore, well, what do I need?
And I think that's a really good point to finish on, about not projecting onto your child. And you've just made some suggestions, but, the quintessential question of mindful self-compassion is, what do I need? What do I need? It's like, well,
who knows? What
if the child practices noticing what it needs? I wonder what I might need right now. Might be to go to bed early. Might be to have a snack.
Drink of water.
Might be to actually just take a break. Go outside. Go and play.
Cuddle.
Yeah.
I'd always opt for that one.
Speak to a friend.
Have a cuddle. Beautiful. And this is, of course, strengths-based inner coaching, really, isn't it?
100%.
It's finding those resources inside to expand your capacity for the challenges. It's really good.
And practicing beside them. So you could easily say, well, what do I need? And you could just be, it's not a teaching thing. You could just be musing to yourself. And you could so easily speak out loud as if your child wasn't in the room, but you're just talking quietly to yourself. So you don't have to be teaching the child.
Yes, it's back to that modelling, isn't it?
You're in there, even on the sofa or doing something else, and go, I wonder what I need right now. And you could just start modelling that as if you're having this conversation with yourself. Because also when I was learning self-compassion, and now as well, I'm a person who learns through auditory learning. Is that the right phrase? So I like to...
Word, sound.
I respond, my body and being responds when I hear information. So if I can say something, a self-compassionate choice, I could be in the office working on something or preparing for a podcast. I'll go, come on, Lizzie, you can do this. So I can actually speak kindly to myself. And if I say it out loud, I can receive it and hear it. And my being receives it in a different way rather than me just thinking it or even writing it. So notice what works for you. It may not be the same for your child or children, but be curious about that too, because you might go, Actually, I find it really useful. But also when we're modelling for our children, it's quite good to just practice that, because especially with your compassionate catchphrase and things, you could just say it out loud.
Absolutely.
Try it on for size. See if it's comfortable.
We know that it's a lifelong practice, my friends. So wishing you an absolutely awesome day. We hope this has been a useful conversation, an inspiring one that will help you remember you're not alone on this journey, that, as Wendy reminded us, parenting is hard, and we can be gentle and kind to ourselves. We can be supportive of ourselves. We can be our own cheerleader,
Yes.
so that we can model this for our wonderful children. Thanks so much for being here.
Until next time.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Conversation.
We hope it's given you an opportunity to pause, reflect, and perhaps notice how you speak to yourself when life feels difficult.
And if this week's conversation has reminded us of anything, it's that self-compassion isn't something children need someday. It's something they can begin learning today through the words they hear, the relationships they experience, and the example we model every day.
In our next episode, we'll be slowing things down with a guided meditation inspired by Wendy's gentle reminder that we all deserve kindness when we're struggling. It's an opportunity to experience self-compassion for yourself rather than simply hearing about it.
And if today's conversation has got you thinking about how your child talks to themselves, we invite you to take our free quiz. You'll find the link in the show notes. It takes just about 90 seconds and will show you exactly what's going on for your child's inner voice right now.
And if this episode resonated with you, please do share it with someone that you love who might need to hear it today. Word of mouth is how we're growing this community.
And remember, next week we'll be sharing part 2 of our conversation with Wendy O'Leary, where we'll explore how these ideas come to life in parenting, family relationships, and everyday moments.
We can't wait to share it with you.
Here's to raising kind minds,
starting with your own.